Hi, I'm Ramses Vanderslice, and apparently I'm not allowed to die because God's not finished with me yet. Now you might recognize me from the mysterious underground facility where I spent most of my childhood, or maybe from watching this video twice. In either case, you'll know that I'm a professional conspiracy theorist. In this case, that just means I'm paid by Negasoros to uncover the mysterious Zoroastrian cabal that's been running everything behind the scenes, but also right in front of our faces. There's never been a better time for amateurs and lay people to get into conspiracy theory content creation than the present moment, alright? There are plenty of wonderful resources online to help you get started. YouTube for one, 4chan, whitehouse.gov, all the major ones. So you're going to want to get a camera, an internet connection, and an overinflated sense of your worth in the universe. Those are all prerequisites to making a great conspiracy video. Before we get started, fair warning, I don't have a whole lot of experience reacting to things. I've only sort of recently gotten into the habit, so I've been testing it out over the past few days, just sort of like a little bit of and sometimes and I think those are good, honestly, so I think we're good to go.
These people who criticize me about sons of God intermingling with animals and thus produce these mermaids, centaurs, satyrs, and then all these kind of half-human, half-animal weird creatures.
Alright, now this is one of my favorite channels on YouTube. Before we even get started talking about the video itself, gotta give props to this name, BBC International. That's wonderful, alright? That's SEO marketing genius. You don't really have to come up with your own brand if you can just lift another organization's name wholesale. YouTube doesn't really care if you do this. They only really care if you play Smash Mouth for more than 6 seconds. But other than that, you can just steal people's identities and it should be totally fine. Beyond that though, I do have a few issues with this. One being 22 minutes is kind of short for a conspiracy video. That's pretty easily digestible. You could watch that in one sitting without your family being concerned for you, or maybe your neighbors because they haven't seen you come outside in a few days. You don't want it to be easily accessible. You want it to be a sort of rabbit hole that someone can fall into and never come out of again.
See that? The Bible even showed bestiality is confusing, strange.
Now, as you may have noticed, this is a pretty heavily religious themed channel, so all the conspiracy theories are going to be pulling really heavily from the King James Version of the Bible, which is the only real version of the Bible as we all know. If you're a conspiracy theorist that is an atheist, or maybe just not strictly Christian, I understand, you're out there, you're wrong, but you do exist. You're still going to want to sprinkle in those biblical quotes every now and then, because even if your viewers aren't religious or aren't Christian, they're just going to eat that shit up. There's no real rhyme or reason as to why this is the case. We just know it's true, and you don't mess with success. This just goes to show you how low the bar is for getting into conspiracy theories on YouTube if you want to make your own, because all he really has is his own body, his beautiful press suit, his wonderful kissable mouth, and that whiteboard behind him that he can just sort of write words on and draw lines between. Now with this whiteboard, those lines are crucial, okay? You don't want your viewers to be easily able to comprehend all of the different connections that you're making. You want to sort of bludgeon them over the head with the spider web of incongruity that you're creating. And so this is really wonderful. This is why I consult this chart when I wake up every day. It's just really wonderful. It gets me in the right mindset to really get racking and rolling, okay? It's a good chart. Now, one thing that Dr. Gene Kim does that I think is really crucial if you're a conspiracy theorist, he insults our intelligence. You might not think that's really important. In fact, you might not even think that's good to do, but you would be wrong, all right? Case in point, I just told you you're wrong, and you loved it, okay? In this case, he's chosen one word that he likes to stick to. He likes to call everyone a baby.
I know you want to remain a baby. Don't blame me. Don't get angry at us dispensationalists that you want to remain a baby and you want people online to remain like a baby like you. Blah, 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 and you don't even know what you're talking about. You're still sucking on your milk.
And baby is good. Choose your own if you don't feel comfortable calling people babies. Sheep is pretty common. I'm a fan of the word dummy. If your insults get too variegated, you kind of lose your brand. So just pick an insult, stick with it, pick a few maybe synonyms for it, but don't stray too far from your message, which is that your viewers are dumb and they need you to educate them.
Waluigi as a playable fighter.
Maybe
No.
an unexpected guest will
Unexpected
photobomb
guest
the
like Waluigi as a playable fighter?
The DNA cloud. Anunnaki manipulating the neural networks of our universe. Oh, now we got a story. So these Anunnaki might return to gather a following to go to the dark universe.
All right, this is good. This is great. Naughty Beaver, really great person, seasoned member of the conspiracy theory community. The video is about 2 hours, which is great. Ideally, when you're making videos about a topic, you should be making 8 or 9 about the same topic. They should all be about 1.5 hours in length, and they should mostly have the same information contained within them in varying states of disarray. This guarantees that if someone sort of watches all 14 hours of content that you put out, they might learn a thing or two along the way, but if they don't, it's not super important either. Now, he does all of his videos live, and you'll find that all of the best conspiracy theorists on YouTube do their stuff live. The reason that I don't do my stuff live is because I'm not technically alive, so you can see how that's kind of an issue. So Naughty Beaver rocks what I call an infinite recursion style of conspiracy theory, and it doesn't refer to the actual theory itself, but the way of presenting it. It just means that he'll do a sort of screen share up there, and then he'll show infinite nesting versions of YouTube videos within the screen itself. This is really disorienting for the viewer, and you might think that's actually a negative, but it's not. It's a plus. You want to disorient your viewer about 30% of the time, because if they're confused 30% of the time, they'll be in a better mindset to accept the nonsense you say the other 5% of the time. That's math. Naughty Beaver, also a great example of someone who thinks that he's way smarter than everyone else, as referenced here.
I'm far beyond, light years into the future, past the average person, because I told you the Beaver's a little different than most would understand, and I do this lovingly.
But benevolent, so that's good.
All energy in the universe is God itself, the Alpha and the Omega. They are of a higher density than we are, ergo closer to God.
He's got some great thoughts about density and vibration and how it relates to the sort of consciousness of people. These are really, really great terms to throw around. Even if you don't have anything in your conspiracy that has anything to do with vibrations, just bring them up. It's one of the reasons I sleep with Hitachi wands attached to myself at night. In fact, it's the only reason that I sleep with Hitachi wands attached to myself at night. I like this idea that being very dense is actually a good thing and equivalent to being on a higher spiritual plane, because it jives with my idea that one day when I throw myself into a trash compactor to become the world's smallest boy, I'll be ascending to a higher state of being.
Venture. Yeah, partner.
No.
We gotta
Do you
get
expect
this
me to
wagon
believe this?
train moving. This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
What is
What am
this?
I saying? Of course it is.
But this is a really solid record. And,
Now, right off the bat, I know this is going to be a good one, all right? A couple of things lead me to believe this. 1, there are 5 total pixels. 2, there's a mediocre white man who's about to tell me something. And 3, that thing he's about to tell me is a wildly baseless claim. Namely, that I should listen to Jimmy Buffett at some point in my life. So you might be surprised to hear that I think this is a good video, considering he's telling me to listen to Jimmy Buffett, and I'd personally rather shove my head through a chainsaw. The main thing is that he very clearly believes what he's saying, okay? Despite the fact that he's demonstrably false, this is a good conspiracy video. They're not mutually exclusive. If something doesn't need to be true to be a good conspiracy theory, you just need to believe it hard enough, and this man clearly does believe that I should listen to Jimmy Buffett. Now, that is wrong, and it is a hate crime, but it is still good content. One final thing to note, you'll realize that he does this entire video in one take, which is great, it's really impressive. It means he sort of flubs a lot of lines and says a lot of redundant information, but that's okay, because the important thing is those jump cuts often conceal reptilians who are posing the actors in between scenes, and when you do it in one take, it becomes significantly harder to fake that sort of thing. So either this man believes what he's saying, or he's just a very convincing hologram. In either case, I'm okay with it.
Well, I guess it's finally
this
that
guy.
time.
This
I
guy
didn't
knows
want
what
to
he's
have to
talking
be the one
about.
to break it to you, but nobody poops but you. Nobody poops. Nobody poops but you.
It's good stuff. This has been a lot of fun. I got some practice in reacting, which is really good. It's going to be nice for when I go outside and try to convince everyone else that I am a real human boy. If you want me to make more of these, please subscribe to this channel. And please don't comment that I'm in mortal peril, because I'm not.